I'm Katie Wells, host of the Maximized Minimalist podcast. I escaped the hamster wheel of modern-day motherhood, overwhelmed by clutter and buried under the mental load. Now I live in a home that feels calm, manageable, and made for real life. I have margin in my days, energy for who matters most, and time for slow mornings and silly dance parties in the kitchen with my family. With over 5 million listens, the show has helped women around the world turn their homes into their happy place. Around here, we simplify for more peace, more presence, and more joy. We choose grace over guilt and progress over perfection. And we believe your home should give back more than it takes. I'm here to help you do the same. Come along with me and my guests as we share the real stories, habits, and strategies that help you lighten the load from the inside out. Pull up a seat, friend, and let's do this together. Ready, set, simplify. Andrew once asked me a question that changed our home and our finances and also our relationship forever. And he asked me as he was holding the credit card statement one day, "Where did the money go, Katie?" And I'm telling you what, it was probably my rock bottom from a shopping perspective, because for years, even early on in my declutter journey, I was like decluttering with one hand and shopping with the other. And I really didn't want to acknowledge how my shopping patterns and habits I had at the time were contributing to the chaos in my life and clutter in my home. And I'll never forget just sitting at that kitchen table and Andrew plopping down the credit card statement in front of me. And I was just so upset. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like called out. Like this is like intervention, right? And, I had this knot in my stomach, and I was also like, oh, I hope and pray like he doesn't see the unopened Amazon boxes in the garage after this conversation. And here's the thing. I think for a lot of us, and for me, I wasn't blowing money on like big ticket items. I wasn't buying luxury handbags, and like, that's just not my thing. I'm not like renovating the kitchen. I'm spending $12 here. Ooh, a pair of cute sunglasses here at Target, adding to cart $27 there. And I barely remembered making like all of these purchases. And then one day it all came out, like the tears, the shame, and just like the confession I didn't want to make was like, dang, I got a shopping problem. And this conversation and the tears, subsequent tears, many tears, is actually the reason I wrote the chapter in my book that, like I said in last week's episode, like it almost didn't exist. So it's chapter 12, Break the Shopping and Clutter Cycle. So my book, Making Home Your Happy Place, comes out today or yesterday, February 17th. And this chapter is one of the most personal things I've ever put on paper, which says a lot because y'all know we get personal on this show. So today I'm sharing what I've never really fully talked about on the episode. And this is habits that were filling my home back up every time I tried to declutter. Whether you're buying more than you want to, or just want to learn some ways to shop more intentionally, I think you'll love today's episode. And I have a feeling some of this might sound familiar to you too. So let's get into it. Here's, I think, the real problem nobody talks about. And what I want you to understand is I was decluttering, I was becoming like a declutter ninja. I was like, I can do this. I'm tackling the 4 layers. I'm, working and using this holistic declutter method I created along the way. I'm finally feeling the results, and they lasted. And I was craving it and wanting more of it. Yes, I'm doing the work. And like I said, my house kept filling back up almost faster than I could declutter. And for the longest time, I just chalked it up to, I'm just not trying hard enough. I need a better system. I need more bins or baskets or more discipline. But that wasn't the real problem. The problem was that I was emptying the bathtub without turning off the faucet. It was just continual. It's just this, like I said, cycle. And I was so focused on what was going out of my home. And to be honest, I knew I should tweak my shopping habits, but I didn't want to until that day. My husband saw the credit card statement. Why was I buying so much stuff? And when I finally got honest with myself, I realized it wasn't random. And I think all of us have our own patterns. And really that's where I got started. Once I saw my patterns, I couldn't unsee them. And I want to talk you through 3 of the biggest ones today. And again, not because we're judging, that's not what we do here. It's just because naming something is the first step to changing it. And the first pattern I had to face was this. I was using shopping as an escape hatch. So when I felt anxious, I shopped. when the kids were melting down and the house was chaos and I felt like I was failing at everything, I would open my phone and start scrolling. And honestly, I'd just be like, what? I don't even care. Like whatever, like I was so easily succumbed to the ad I saw. I don't care if it was for a lotion, a potion, a pair of shoes. I'm like, yep. Oh, that's going to make me feel better. Oh, yes. Adding things to cart, checking out before I could think twice. I was just like so vulnerable in those moments. Again, it's not about the stuff. It's not about the lotions, potions, and shoes. It's about the relief that my brain felt when I bought that thing, that tiny bit of dopamine that made me feel like I was doing something good. Like I had some semblance of control in a season that felt completely out of control to me. The package would arrive a few days later or a week later. And I was like, what did I get? What's this company? I didn't even remember ordering it. I'd open the box and be like, oh yeah, I think I remember getting that, And then even worse, I would immediately panic and try to hide it from Andrew. And I would literally just be like, I hope the UPS driver doesn't show up when Andrew is home. Like I would have so much anxiety around that. And then it would sit there. I'd typically hide it in my closet or put it in the garage. It was so cluttered. It's not like one more box mattered, I was like, okay. And then when Andrew leaves, I'll open it. Looking back, there were lots of signs, I was trying to hide it and created so much anxiety and mental clutter too. And here's what I want you to hear. If you're stress shopping like I was, congratulations, you're a human being with a beating heart. The Tin Man would be jealous. I think he was the one that wanted a heart, right? And you're not bad with money. I think a lot of us, we're just coping, right? And using it as an escape hatch, like I said. But the stuff you're buying isn't actually giving you what you truly need. It's giving you a temporary hit of relief and a long-term pile of clutter that makes you feel so much worse, gets you further away from your goals. Your stuff, your clutter is trying to tell you something. And sometimes what it's saying is, girl, you're overwhelmed and you need support. You need support right now, not another cart. Not something added to your cart, not another checkout. The second pattern was harder to admit for me. I was also buying things for a version of myself that didn't exist. The version of me who hosts elegant dinner parties, and I needed cloth napkins. And of course, I didn't need just 4 of them for our family. I needed 20 because what if I have 20 people over? The aspirational dinner parties, I'm like, I don't know 20 people. I still don't know 20 people. I barely knew 4 people back then when I bought these napkins. The version of me who does morning yoga needed that cute matching set. The version of me who does craft projects with my kids, I needed all those supplies from Michael's that are still in the bag. We know this from me. I wasn't hosting dinner parties. Girl, I was lucky to get dinner on the table at a reasonable hour. My kids were lucky to get anything hot back in those days. I mean, PB&J, it counts for dinner. I wasn't waking up early to do sunrise yoga. I wasn't doing yoga any time of day. I hated doing arts and crafts, truly. Don't at me, all you crafters, by the way. It is simply not something I enjoy so much. Maybe as I age into my 40s, that will change. I was buying for a fantasy and what I thought I kind of should be doing. And every time I looked at that stuff sitting unused in my home, it didn't inspire me. It yelled at me. It bullied me. It reminded me of who I wasn't. Man, another thing you didn't follow through on. I got to do yoga. I have to be a good mom and do arts and crafts with my kids. A better mom would be doing arts and crafts already. I'm so far behind. A lot of uggs in there. This is what I call aspirational clutter, kind of a subset of identity clutter. We talked about that a week or 2 ago. And it's sneaky because it feels productive. It feels like I'm investing in myself. I'm getting a yoga mat. That's good for me. It's preparing me for the life I want. It's helping me follow through. I want to exercise. But in some cases, you're not preparing. You're justifying the purchase by tying it to that, right? And those are 2 very different things. And this is when I had to learn to ask myself a hard question. Am I buying this for who I actually am or who I think I should be? And does this item feel like an invitation or an obligation? Even if the item were in my home right now. Let's just talk about the Cricut machine. Girl, I know you got a Cricut machine. It's in your closet somewhere. You got it when you're all hyped up on your craft era. You're like, yes! And you used it once, or maybe it was too overwhelming to learn. Again, no judgment, no shame. Wasn't a Cricut for me. It was other stuff. Think about your season. We have to play to the season we are in right now. Have you had the opportunity to use that Cricut machine the last 6 months? Well, yeah, you've had opportunities probably to do a little labeling, maybe, right? But you didn't. We have to get better at balancing the scales with better questions that give us better answers, and then get honest about those answers and make decisions based on those answers. Decisions, you know what those are. Often decluttering. Okay, the third pattern has a name you might not have heard of before, but I promise almost everyone here has experienced it. And it's called the Diderot effect. So here's where it comes from. There was a long time ago a French philosopher named Diderot who lived in poverty for most of his life. Then one day he came into some money and bought himself a beautiful scarlet robe, as one does in like the 1500s. Okay. He wasn't buying a Nintendo Switch or like a big screen TV. He was like, I'm getting myself a beautiful robe. And that's when everything fell apart, because suddenly when he looked around his home while he's standing in his beautiful bougie robe, nothing else matched the robe. Now, his old chair looked really shabby compared to his beautiful scarlet robe he had on. Now, his desk that was fine yesterday before he got the robe, compared to the robe, looked really worn. And his rug looked dingy, and he started looking around his house and going, oh my gosh, I got to start upgrading all of the things in my house. One thing after another, another after another, until he found himself sitting in a beautifully furnished room and in debt. And he wrote about it later. He said he was mastered by his robe. Mic drop, Diderot. That's a mic drop right there. This happens to us all the time and is such a great example of being owned by our stuff, not the other way around. Once I found out about this Diderot concept, I was like, oh, I'm totally guilty of that. I remember I got a new couch a long, long time ago, and I was like, I put it on the rug and I was like, dang, this rug looks ugly now. I don't know. Like, it looks old, dingy, right? So you replace the rug. Now the curtains need to get changed and the lamps and everything. One purchase can create this cascade of more purchases, not because you need them, but because the new thing makes everything else look not good enough. Oh my gosh. Just understanding this, by the way, and bringing awareness to this, you will stop doing it as much. So hopefully I just saved you probably thousands of dollars over a lifetime. So you're welcome. Personally, and for me, it's more than thousands. I can tell you that right now. I used to fall into this trap all the time. And the worst part was I justified it. I was like, well, I'm improving my home. I'm creating a beautiful space. But it's like, when is enough? You buy a new couch and then you're like, oh, well, now I need a new rug. Same thing Diderot faced. It's a slippery slope sometimes if we don't catch ourselves and even ask ourselves, when is enough? Can I just be content with a new couch and my 10-year-old rug? I mean, yeah, we got to learn how at some point. But for me, back in the day, I was just spinning. And I was justifying by saying, well, I'm curating and I'm making progress and I'm creating a beautiful home. But really, I just wanted to justify me buying stuff. Buying and replacing and upgrading in an endless loop that never actually made me feel satisfied. Am I saying all buying is bad? No. Am I saying never buy that new couch? No. Am I saying don't buy a scarlet beautiful robe? No. You do you. I mean, maybe I'll get one at some point. I don't know. The point is, again, if it's a pattern, if it's a cycle that never stops, right? It doesn't stop until you decide to stop it. Let me put it that way. So again, I almost didn't put this in my new book. When I was writing it, I kept circling back to this chapter about shopping and, how it would require me to tell this truth about those Amazon boxes and Target runs and credit card statements and the tears at my kitchen table. I'm telling you, that was a rock bottom. It really was a rock bottom for me. And I was like, maybe I'll just skip that. No one wants to talk about that. Maybe people don't need to know this part, and I'll just keep it focused on getting things out. But here's the thing. I wrote this book because I believe, again, decluttering isn't just about your stuff. It's about you. It's about the emotions, habits, patterns underneath the piles. And if I skipped that shopping chapter, I'd be doing the exact same thing I tell you not to do. I'd be dealing with the surface and just pretending the rest isn't there. Like, don't look over there. Don't look at that. So I wrote it, and I hope you love it. I obviously couldn't fit everything into this episode, but it's all there in chapter 12. And I think you deserve to understand the full picture, not just to get stuff out of your home, but again, we are pulling the weed out by the root and we're replacing the soil, right? It's just like when we have a garden, we don't plant our plants and our flowers and our vegetables or fruit, whatever you're growing, and never expect it to take any effort, right? But we have to make sure what we're planting the habits and emotion, like we're putting it into nourishing soil. And so that's really what this is all doing, whether it's this one chapter in the book or the other ones. So what shifted? How did I go from crying at my kitchen table to standing here today, sitting on the couch that I bought a long time ago, used on Facebook Marketplace? It ain't pretty, and it has cat claws, cat marks all over it. It looks like Freddy Krueger sat down on this couch, but it's good enough for me. So how did I go from crying at my kitchen table to sitting here on this shredded couch, helping thousands of families transform their homes? I started with a confession. That moment of saying out loud, I think I need to change. And the real change came when I stopped trying to fix my behavior and started just getting curious about what was driving it. Why was I shopping when I was anxious? What was I looking for? Control. Why was I buying for a fantasy version of myself? What was I trying to prove? I didn't feel good enough in my own skin. And I think so many of us end up in this loop where it's like this exhausting. It is so exhausting. Girl, I go on Instagram, I'm hit with 18 influencers selling me skincare, anti-aging, gray hair coverage, how to hide your mom belly. Literally in 60, 90 seconds, I feel horrible about myself. And then I'm like, well, I got to buy my way into happiness, right? It's an exhausting, never-ending pursuit of shopping. And it's just like, you get to decide when enough is enough. You get to anchor yourself to your truth. I sound like a housewife. I know. Your values, what actually matters to you? What matters to you? When you don't know what matters to you or why it matters, you will stay on this exhausting search because culture, we're never going to be perfect enough for our culture. Our culture is obsessed with being perfect. We want to look 20 even though we're 50. We want to be skinny even though we're not. It's just like constant, never ending. I'm not saying don't work on your health, don't work out, don't make yourself feel better, but you have to understand, where is that coming from? Is that internal pressure because of external pressure first? I think often it is. And going back to this endless, never ending pursuit that often a lot of us stay on this shopping, whether it's buying one thing a week or one thing a month, we just have to bring that awareness there. So much awareness. Why did one new thing make me want to replace everything else? What was I actually chasing? When I started asking these questions, the answers weren't always comfortable. They weren't always immediately recognizable. But literally, for me, I was just like, okay, Katie, just be honest. But they were so clarifying, so clarifying. I wasn't bad at decluttering. I wasn't bad at budgeting. I was avoiding something. And until I faced that, no amount of budgeting, organizing, purging, or systems was going to fix it. Your clutter isn't just an eyesore, it's information. There's my mic drop. It's a signal. And when you learn to read it, instead of just like, oh, I'll just let go of it, or, oh, I'll try to be better next time, or I'll try not to do that again. Then we can address what's really going on. That's what this whole book is about. That's what holistic decluttering about. That's what this show is about. That's why you come back week after week, hopefully every Wednesday, right? Making Home Your Happy Place, How to Declutter Without the Overwhelm is officially out into the world. She's beautiful. She's published. You can order her now, get her on your doorstep in a few days. And I'm so obsessed. And she will look so pretty on your coffee table or nightstand too. But don't let this purchase make you feel like you need to upgrade your whole house, okay? I'm just kidding. And if anything I shared today made you think, oh no, she's talking about me, that's why I wrote this chapter. That's why I did this episode for you. You're not alone in this. You're not the only one who struggled with this. And there's a way through. So thanks for being here. Thanks for letting me share the messy, honest, uncomfortable rock bottoms, part of my story. And thank you for trusting me to walk alongside you and yours. I will see you next Wednesday. Enjoy the book if you get it. And you know what to do. Ready, set, simplify. Bye.